Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Señoras y señores, live! It's time!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're enjoying your evening. We are live in the Action Lab, your premier sports and entertainment talk show on the internet. And we are here chilling with you on a Wednesday night. And we're supposed to be watching a little bit of this Minnesota Timberwolves and OKC Thunder game. And I say game loosely. I say game very loosely because this isn't a game. This hasn't been a game. It probably won't be a game. And here we are. The Wolves are up 78-51 with 5:09 left in the third quarter. And this is an absolute disaster of a game 5. Game 5 for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are trying to stay in on this series. It's pretty much over. If you look closely on the ESPN analytics of how much of a percentage the Minnesota Timberwolves have, there is a 0.1% sliver. 0.1 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So, you know what? We'll watch the train wreck. I got some thoughts on not only this, but just everything moving forward. And we'll talk a little bit about what this means, because there are some interesting takeaways that don't just involve this game. There are some interesting takeaways that involve other teams and how these things played out, especially in the playoffs leading up to this point. So we'll dive into that here in a second. But yeah, it's looking pretty ugly here. It's only a matter of time. There's only so many possessions in this game. I know we're in the third quarter with 4:29, but I mean, Julius Randle decided to kind of show up, 18 points so far in this game after not showing up last game. But OKC in the driver's seat. They're looking like they're going to be going to the NBA Finals, which is what we all kind of expected. OKC, we didn't have the Pacers on the other side leading that series over there, so that's interesting. We could dive into that a little bit too, but welcome in, everybody. Brendan, Captain Urban, what's going on? How we doing? McDuggett's in the crowd, D. Cola in the crowd, Joe Wills, all of you guys hanging out here with us. So, yeah, good to have you guys here. Are the Thunder this good, or are the rest of the teams this bad? I wouldn't say the rest of the teams are bad. I mean, I think that Minnesota has built a quality team and a quality roster. They built also a roster that was built to beat Denver, who was the power in the Western Conference, or a top contending team in the Western Conference. And you would expect that Minnesota would have had a better opportunity to beat the Nuggets in this than the Thunder. But OKC ended up beating them in that series, and here we are. So that's kind of what we're sitting at. Now, don't get me wrong. The Nuggets probably would have fell short one way or another at some level in the playoffs. But that being said, the Wolves they did not want to see OKC in this round. And it's showing. It's showing because the Wolves right now are losing 57-80. 83 on our score. I'm watching the game live, so I'm always a little bit behind. So that's just how it turned out. But the Thunder are a good team. They're a very young team. but they are a good team. And when you have that energy and you have the ability to go 48 minutes and play this crazy level of defense, and you have all the personnel plus the offensive upside, that's just the way they've been able to win these games. So they're just more aggressive. They're more consistent. They can score quicker because they're one of the best transition teams in the NBA. And it just gives them an opportunity to just boat race teams like they're doing tonight. Knicks get eliminated. The Knicks, they have their own issues. They'll have their own issues going up against the Indiana Pacers. Halliburton is leading that team. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be if you're not a fan of these teams specifically, i.e. Oklahoma City or Indiana, this might be one of the lowest rated NBA finals I think we're going to have in recent memory. Just, you got two markets that are small markets that are finding themselves in the NBA. Now, you do have an MVP winner in the NBA final. You have a team an OKC that's been the best in the league. So there's a little bit of something there, but not quite what you would want if you're Adam Silver and the NBA media looking to cover this series. McNuggets, let me guess. Because the Nuggets brought them to a fake Game 7, they were the second best team in the West. I'm not even going to say that, McNuggets, here's what I'll say. I'll say it says more about what Nikola Jokic did and what he's capable of elevating a team to what they did against the Oklahoma City Thunder. What they did to extend that to Game 7, you look at Westbrook just came out with a broken hand yesterday, and he got surgery. You had Aaron Gordon, who was on a grade 2 hamstring strain, which takes 4 weeks minimum to heal. And you have Michael Porter Jr., who couldn't raise his left arm for most of the series. Yet you had Nikola Jokic take that team, given the circumstances of him not playing as well in some of those games. There were some duds, but he was able to lead Denver. So I think it says more about the core and what Nikola Jokic can elevate his teammates to, because we're looking at a healthy Minnesota team. A healthy team with one of the best rising stars. You have Julius Randle. You have a team built on defense. You have long, athletic perimeter defenders. And you still can't get more than one game against Oklahoma City. I'm just saying. What does that say? What does that say about Nikola Jokic? I mean, you can take away whatever you want, but if there's one thing you can say is the fact that he is able to elevate a team, which makes me feel a lot better about what we have moving forward into next season. I'll just put it like that. So, yeah. It's crazy. The Minnesota Timberwolves they're going to be going through their own rough patch this offseason. They do not have the ability to bring back a lot of these guys that they would like to bring back. Naz Reid, I think, is gone. I think Alexander Walker is gone for Minnesota. I mean, Rudy Gobert is still going to be there. He's making a ton of money. I don't know if he's going to have longevity in Minnesota as a guy, but he'll be there because I think he's at a core of how they would like to play. But this is going to be a different looking Minnesota team next year. I'll tell you that. OKC, on the other hand, OKC, they're going to be going on to the NBA Finals here in at least one quarter. So in about 13 and a half minutes, they'll be on their way. Scott looks better than ever tonight. Yeah. Got a couple no call no shows for work tonight with Rec not showing up for work. We got Scotty. Scotty's got the kiddos though. He's all alone all week long with all of his children. So, it's hard to figure out what to do with Rudy. We do need size, but the offensive liability is too... See, that's the thing. Like, you might get... Rudy might throw out, one, maybe two really insane games, here and there. But, like, you just never have anything to bank on offensively. Offensively, he's a pure liability. He just stands there. I literally just watched him stand offensively in the paint while all of his teammates touched the ball, and he just was a cone offensively. Defensively, yeah, he provides some of that rim protection that you would want to have. You just can't. You got to get something offensively from him because he's not a threat. No one's guarding him. It's tough. When you got a guy that, you can just... right now, Caruso's guarding him down low. He was... That's the epitome of what we just witnessed. Rudy Gobert had a seal, and he had his back to the rim with Alex Caruso guarding him. Nobody was in 7 feet of those two players under the rim. And they didn't pass him the ball. like that's what we're talking about. That's the crazy part. If you can't utilize him and you can't get him on a mismatch down below the rim, oh, you're in trouble. That's a bad sign. Let's see. I'm always on call, Chris. Just say when. Hey, if I would have known that, Chairman, I would have hooked you up with an invite here. But maybe I'll tag you in here in a minute if we kind of get a little further into the show and no one showed up to that point. So just stay tuned. You should be proud. The Nuggets were the closest team to upsetting OKC. They played well. Yeah, I feel great. I feel great that it lightens. It still sucks that they lost, but it makes me feel a little bit better that it reaffirms my stance that the Nuggets are still a team that you have to worry about. I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're an OKC 68-win team. I don't care if you're on the Eastern Conference side and you've won, your Cleveland Cavaliers or Boston Celtics. The Nuggets will always have a chance in a series against anybody. That's just flat out. You can't take Nikola Jokic for granted and what he can do to elevate a team. You can't. 3 injured players were taken to Game 7. And Nikola Jokic, the Nuggets will be better next year. He's one of my favorite players in the league. I'm biased. I love I watch him all the time because obviously he's my hometown GOAT. But he's a one of one. He's a one of one, and I just can't wait to see how we build this roster around him next year. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting to see how we go about building, and that's going to be the GM's job. That's going to be the GM's job to see how he's able to, get the most out of everything that he can offer. And I do honestly agree and think that they have to put defensive players around Jokic. They have to. He'll elevate him offensively. but he needs to have defensive-minded players around him. We'll have some depth at center once we get our rookie back, Deron Holmes. He'll be, I think, pretty good. So it's crazy to me to think we have 0 draft picks this draft coming up. Nuggets have 0 picks. 0. Like, you know how crazy it is? You know how insane it is to have 0 picks in a draft? It's wild. To be fair, series don't happen without Westbrook. Games also. Westbrook, I will say, was a surprise. It was good. There was some ups and downs. You have to acknowledge that you don't know what you're going to get from Westbrook. There were times where he looked great. I mean, he was the best player off the bench for the Nuggets. He was. But there's also times where he comes in the game, Jokic leaves with a 10-point lead, and within 30 seconds of Westbrook being in the game, he turns over the ball 3 times offensively, and our 10-point lead got down to 3 or 2 instantly. Melted away. So you take the good with the bad. It's a roller coaster experience with Russell Westbrook. It is. And you have to live with that. You knew what you were signing up for when you brought him in. It's been the same everywhere he's been. Even in the LA Clippers organization. Started out a little rocky, got better. People were like, "Oh, wait, we're getting the most out of him." And then it falls apart. Just part of the experience, you know? Part of the experience, guys. You know? If you like amusement parks, if you like Bitcoin and the volatility, then you're a Westbrook person. I'll tell you. Looks like the Wolves are going to be howling a lot after they lose tonight. That's true. They're going to be on their way to Cancun, enjoying the off season. It's over. It's over. This is it. I mean, we're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder winning the West and representing the West in the NBA Finals. You know what I'm watching this game. How do the Oklahoma City Thunder get their fans to buy into wearing those damn shirts? Huh? How do they do it? I've been to so many sporting events. I've seen so many sporting events on TV, and I do not. Do they have to like threaten them on the way in with like something, or they have to bribe? Maybe they're like, "Hey, wear the shirt, or else you don't get free Chick-fil-A or something." They do something because there's no shot. Every single game they get. I'm looking in the crowd, and not a single person doesn't have their shirt on. Hey, P3. Don't know why the alert's not working for some reason, I'll read it. We'll see. I'm in search of someone to assist with milking cows on my dairy farm. Must work well with udders. Hey. Appreciate that. Worst pub I've ever been to was called The Fiddle. It was a violin. Hey. Where's the other dudes at? Who knows? I have no idea, P3. Thank you for the bits, though. I wonder if many Seattle Supersonic fans became OKC. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But here's the thing, Dr. J. The minute Seattle gets a team back, that's where I would question. That's where I would question who's loyal. Because there are times where I'm just like, I wonder what the split would be. Seattle is it's a pretty good sports town, right? It's a pretty good sports town. So I would assume they just, got loaner for OKC, in the interim, and then when they get the Sonics back, they'll be back on the Sonics train because there's too much to love about, the history of the Sonics. So I would assume they all go back to being Sonics fans. But I'm sure there's a handful. I mean, because I guess it just depends. Are you like? Let me ask you guys in the chat: if your team left, whoa, Deco with the 600 bits. Let's go! Thank you. Way too generous, Diacola. Thank you. And also thank you to P3 for the let's go. I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan. Oh, I know P3 why it didn't trigger the thing. It's I think 25 bits to trigger the voice to chat. I think it's 25 bits. Sorry. It was raised. That's why. Sorry, P3. But thank you, Diacola, for the 600 bits. You are the real MVP. None of this Shea stuff, right? So technically, if the Pacers win, is this guaranteed first NBA title, or are you counting the Sonics? I mean, yeah, I mean, this is it's not Sonics. Not Sonics. I mean, Pacers, I'm a Pacers fan. I'm a Halliburton fan. I'm a Rick Carlisle fan coming up here in this next series. I would love, I don't know, man. I just want the Thunder to just face adversity on their first big run. Now, have they had a couple short playoff stints? Yeah, but they're still a young team that I feel like that you have to pay your dues. And I just think it's like they're going to be doing something not a lot of teams do if they win the title this year. And that's win if you're a young team. Like that's something that you don't see very often. You see, your star around, mid to late 20s get their first championship. But this team is such a young team to be going all the way. And that's just, shout out to Sam Presti and the rest of this ownership who have built this team through the draft, through accumulating picks. It all started with that crazy Paul George. I mean, when Paul George was traded to the Oklahoma City or from the Oklahoma City Thunder to the Clippers, they gave up the farm. Like SGA, a future MVP, plus all the first round draft picks, all the collateral for one player. That trade, you can look back on that trade, and it's arguably one of the worst trades. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, the Rudy Gobert trade, I thought was going to be a terrible trade at first, and it seemed like it was for a little bit, but he hasn't been bad, and the trade hasn't been as much of a detriment. I mean, the fact that you've had success against the team that you were built to beat, the Denver Nuggets, yeah, I would call that somewhat of a success. But the Paul George trade, it was one of the craziest, mind-boggling trades I think I've ever witnessed in professional sports. There's been some crazy trades. I mean, you could say even the Broncos had the crazy trade with the Russell Wilson stuff, right? But you look at that trade. Think about this. This trade, one player, I'm going to go through every single thing that was moved. I'm going to go through every single one. Paul George to the Clippers for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP. Danilo Gallinari, LA Clippers 2022 first round pick. LA Clippers 2024 first round pick. LA Clippers 2026 first round pick. Miami's first round 2021 pick. Miami's first round pick, 2023, lottery protected. Clippers, 2023 first round pick, right to swap. And 2025 first round pick, right to swap picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 first round picks. Danilo Gallinari and SGA for Paul George. For Paul George.
Bruh.
I mean, Doncic trade was bad too. But that trade the Clippers made for Paul George, who only lasted a short period of time and didn't bring them any success. They mortgaged their future for one player, and nothing came from it. I don't know. I think that's as much. The Luka trade's crazy. The Luka trade is crazy, but I'll tell you though, Dallas ended up getting the first round pick, right? They got the first overall pick. They're going to draft Cooper Flagg. They're going to reload, right? But it's not like they're reloading with a bad roster. They're reloading, and they're actually, I mean, Kyrie, AD, Flagg. You got some pieces around there, some nice role player pieces that are going to fit nicely in Dallas. I think Dallas is going to be a team that short term might be in a good place. If everyone stays healthy, they could be in a good place. But I mean, trading a generational talent, that was wild to me. That for not a lot. I mean, you look at arguably, given what Paul George was traded for, you would expect there would be more picks that you would want to get out of that. You're trading a generational talent that's in his younger 20s. What do you like? It's crazy. Nico should have got more. And if he would have opened it up, if it would have been a wider range of teams that he would have reached out and said, hey, I have a guy that you might be interested in. Give me your bids. I'm not going to believe any of this trash that he only went to that he there's some other things to say he went to other teams and everything else. I don't think so. I think he went straight to the Lakers. I think he just tried to save face by saying there were other teams that he reached out to. Because if you put that league wide, everyone's interested, and you're going to have a highest bidder. There's some weird shit went down with that one. Don't you think the 2013 Brooklyn Nets trade with the Celtics was the worst? The Nets got a bunch of washed up players for Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry. Maybe not. I wouldn't say. I mean, I think the Paul George trade is one of the most egregious trades. I would put also the Luka trade up there as one of the worst. I would put, like I said, I did have the Rudy Gobert, but that's gotten better. So I can't. They've gotten more out of him. So let me look at that trade though. Let me take a look at the 2013 Brooklyn Nets trade. I'm gonna make sure I'm not missing any details on what that trade looked like. So that trade, let me see. That trade sending Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Let's see. 2013, the Celtics made a franchise-altering move. Haul of future first-round picks. Is that? Hold on, let me see. I want to. That's not the full details. Here we go. Bu- 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 Boston announced today they have traded forward Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and DJ White to the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for Gerald Wallace, Chris Humphries, Keith Bogans, Marshawn Brooks, Chris Joseph, and 3 future first-round draft picks, and an option to swap first-round picks during the 2017 draft. I mean, there's not a lot of great players going the other direction there. There's not a lot of. I mean, you're trading for the draft picks. It's bad. Yeah, there's not a lot there. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that was a rough trade. That was a rough trade. I mean, draft picks though. I mean, draft picks. You at least you have something back to reload a little bit. So there's that. But like, I still think I if you're ranking them, I still have the Paul George from OKC to the Clippers as the worst trade I can remember. Seven first-round picks and 2 players that one of them turned into an MVP for Paul George.
It's a trap.
It was a trap, and the Clippers fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. NBA Finals begin Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday, and we will probably be... I'm thinking we'll probably cover it. I'll see, maybe game 1. We can jump in and we can watch some of the NBA Finals game 1. I'm really looking forward to the Pacers. Really looking forward to the Pacers. Seeing what they can do. I think they're still going to struggle, but all the starters for the Wolves are on the bench. They've waved the white flag, and OKC has emptied out their bench outside of... Well, actually, no, they still have all their guys in there. OKC, they'll probably get their guys out here very, very shortly. 72-106. This game is over. Oh, man. To have like a Caruso on a roster. I mean, there's some guys that just make a difference, and he's that champion. He's the only championship piece that has experienced any kind of deep run in the playoffs on this OKC team. He's out there on the court. Doing his thing and getting the OKC Thunder in a good spot to win this game late. Chet, I'm torn with Chet. I'm a Gonzaga guy, and I love Gonzaga basketball. I love players that come from Gonzaga, so Julian Strother and Hachimura with LA and Chet Holmgren, and I mean, I love all my Gonzaga Bulldogs, but like, I just do not want OKC to win. I guess if Chet wins a chip, that would be kind of cool. But I want OKC. I want Indiana to take care of business here. I want them to take care of business. And what's interesting in the matchup and I'm kind of jumping ahead here. Let me take a look at the sports line spread, or the sports FanDuel sports book for the upcoming game with the New York Knicks. It's a 4-point spread for the New York Knicks at home against the Indiana Pacers. It's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see, because we just saw a crazy game by Halliburton the other night. Tyrese Halliburton the other night, no turnovers. He had like 30 points. What was it? 30 points, 15 rebounds, 15 assists, 10 rebounds, or something like that. And he no turnovers. That's what's crazy going into this final series. Should we get the inevitable Pacers OKC matchup, is the fact that if he takes care of the ball and he doesn't turn it over, one of the best turnover point to turnover ratios, assist to turnover ratios you can find in the NBA, if he can withstand the pressure that comes from OKC, I think that could be an interesting balancing of the tables to see if they can actually you limit turnovers for OKC, you limit their transition offense. That's exactly how they score so quickly. That's exactly what they like to do in their games and their matchups. That's how they got to this point in the playoffs. So if you can just not turn the ball over and take care of it and play some quality defense, I think that could be an interesting series. Do I think the OKC is a better roster and a better built squad? Yes, I do. But you might see a little bit closer of a series than you did with the Minnesota Timberwolves or any other teams that they got up other than the Nuggets to this point. T-Wolves eliminated again. Deja vu in 5. Same round. It was a tough matchup, 7. Good to have you in, by the way. How about when the Hornets traded away Kobe Bryant's draft rights to the Lakers? Talk about bad trade. Yeah. But like those types of trades are like retrospect kind of it's kind of like I put those in the same category as like you draft a guy and then there's like 3 MVP caliber players that eventually end up, like there's just dudes that you just missed in the draft and you whiffed on. I think those are a little different because they're unknown. I mean, you knew Kobe Bryant was going to be good. Did you know he was going to be Hall of Fame good? Like he was, like his career panned out to be? No, probably not. He's a kid coming out of high school, and it's kind of a, what's he going to turn into kind of thing. Whereas I think some of these other trades are well-known commodities, like the Luka Doncic trade. You're trading away a guy is generational for nothing. Like that's the crazy part. So that's what makes these other ones worse, in my opinion. Gobert has to go. OKC are boring. OKC versus Knicks final would be boring. Foul bait all game. I think the NBA needs to take a look at how games are officiated and the consistency, especially with foul baiting. I do think there's some rules that I think could be interesting to implement as well. I think that there could be some interesting things that may be on the radar for Adam Silver to throw in for, grifting and foul baiting and all that stuff. Because, again, it's not good for the NBA to have all of this, but they're getting rewarded. If it's working for you, why would you stop? If Shea could get to the line 15 times a game and the next best player getting to the line has only maybe 6 attempts, he's mastered it. He's figured out a way to master how to get the calls. And there's an art to that. Jokic has his arts, his little things that he does to manipulate games and do his thing. Shea has his ways to manipulate games. And if it's going to be rewarded and nothing's going to change and the referees are going to not be consistent with it, then there's no point to change what the behavior is. If you have kids and you tell them to do, one thing and then you tell them to do another thing, but then you go back and you're like, well, and there's no consistency in your parenting skills, then your kids don't know what the hell to do, and they're just going to keep doing what gets them what they want, right? That's exactly how this works. And yet, the NBA needs to, I think, make some changes with how they are officiating certain players in the NBA. You never know, the Knicks could make a comeback. you know what's interesting is like I picked the Knicks to have a better chance to come back in their series than I did the Minnesota Timberwolves had to come back in this one. I acknowledge that the Minnesota Timberwolves are not on the same level as OKC. The Knicks have been in some close games that could have gone either way. What's concerning about the Knicks is the fact that they can't. They just don't feel as disciplined as I would like them to be, and that's what creeps into some of these games. When if you're the Indiana Pacers and you take care of the ball, your best players taking care of the ball and not turning it over, and I don't see the Pacers losing 3 straight. I don't see that. As much as the Knicks, I think would have a decent chance to. I think both teams in the East could have a decent chance, but Pacers, to go in and steal 2 games off the top in New York, man, that's impressive. What do we got? So you're basically saying both teams have a lot of offensive speed, Pacers versus OKC. Yeah, I think, you might have some high scoring games in those series. And again, the OKC Thunder, that's their bread and butter. They thrive off of turnovers and defense, turning into offense. They get these turnovers and they're off and running. That's what separates them from everyone else. If you don't turn over the ball against OKC, that's one of the biggest X factors of any team playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That and physicality. You want to be physical with them as well. I think that's what the Nuggets did successfully. They were physical and they weren't, able to. Jokic is kind of a monster in himself. Like, he could only do so much against him. But yeah, that's how OKC thrives. Then you have the Pacers on the other side, who I think, again, you have the ball in a playmaker like Tyrese Halliburton's hands, and he's the one making the plays, and he doesn't turn the ball over. That's a nice little recipe. I'm curious. The physicality is what I'm worried about the Pacers dealing with. I think it's going to come down to management coaching the finals. Rick Carlisle has been there before, and Rick Carlisle's a smart coach. He's built up some good teams. I will say that. I don't want to even hear fouls. I'm still upset about Hardaway no call round 1. Yeah. There's Chris, you're clearly lost. I'm lost in the sauce. Why am I lost in the sauce, Dr. J? What makes me lost in the sauce? All right, there it is. It's in the books. 94-124. The Thunder are on their way to the NBA Finals. That's it. That's all she wrote. No more games on the Western Conference side. Minnesota has a lot to look forward to in the offseason. Minnesota is going to look different next year. They will. I think they have a lot of things that they need to figure out on their roster, and I don't know if they can pay everybody. So you have Naz Reid, you got Alexander Walker. Both guys, it's going to be tough to keep given some of the situations that are going to be happening. So you might have a couple new pieces. Might be shifting a little bit. OKC, on the other hand, they got a nice little runway. They're going to the NBA Finals. Yeah, it's going to be. We'll have to see what ends up happening. Minnesota may need to find some defense. Minnesota has been one of the better defensive teams, and yet they got absolutely blitzed by Oklahoma City tonight. Not great. Not in this series. You're right, Wags. You're right. I don't have hope for the Knicks. I'd rather have KD than Gobert, though. I mean, KD does not offer necessarily the best defense either. So you're trading a guy that's only good at defense for less defense in a series where you played against Oklahoma City and gave up 124 points in a game 5 as one of the better defensive teams in the NBA. That's not great. Not great. I don't know if more offense is necessarily. I don't know if that's necessarily the fit. It's not Rudy. They're actually used him well. The other dude's just not as consistent. Yeah. I mean, I would take a couple of your dudes on Denver. We need some perimeter defenders. We can't afford any of them, but we'd appreciate having them. That would be nice. That's what I'm jealous of Minnesota. I'm jealous of Minnesota for some of your perimeter athletic defensive players, the Walker Alexanders, the who's your other guy out there on the wing? Who is it? Jaden McDaniels. Love me some Jaden McDaniels. McDaniels, 1 for 5 from 3, though. 2 for 13 from the field tonight against Oklahoma City. I mean, that's just a testament, I think. I mean, you look at some of the turnovers. 4 turnovers for Julius Randle. 3 turnovers for Ant. Ant had 19 points. 1 for 7 from 3. What did the Timberwolves only shot 35% from 3? But then again, Oklahoma City only shot 40%. They didn't shoot well. Honestly, Oklahoma City, if you can just post up, like limit them to only shooting threes. I mean, Lou Dort shot 10 of them. I don't think you always want Lou Dort shooting threes, and that was kind of the game plan, I think. They left him open to try to shoot. He took advantage. I mean, he shot, what, 40%? I mean, did what he had to do. Still took 10 of them. Kind of crazy. What else do we have? Denver needs players that do more than catch lobs. Well, Denver needs defensive players. Yeah, Jaden McDaniels.
I'm back, baby.
Hey, what's going on? Keep close. Thank you for the 28 months. Let's go. Denver needs. I think the misconception is, you guys need more offense. Surround Jokic with more offense. No, that's not been the key, because when you can't stop anybody and you don't have any guys outside of Christian Brown to defend the perimeter, it's tough. The year the Nuggets won, they had KCP defending the perimeter. You had obviously Christian Brown. You had obviously Aaron Gordon, nice defensive player. You had Bruce Brown coming off the bench, good defensive-minded player. That's the thing. You got guys that can play defense next to a guy that can elevate you offensively. That's what and you need the depth, which I think they should be able to try to go out and get this offseason. So it just changes everything. It changes everything. And teams are just built differently, and that's how the Nuggets need to be built next year. They went too heavy offensively, and they traded away all their assets with the hopes that they were trying to get all of their stock into young players. And when you put all your stock into young players, the key to that is they develop and play right away within a year or two of them being drafted. And only one player has come out and been able to be that guy, and that's Christian Brown. He's the only one. Draft picks just don't pan out as frequently as you like. So if you put all your stock in the draft picks, you better be hitting on them. And the Nuggets weren't hitting on them outside of a couple guys. I wouldn't say that, as much as I love Peyton Watson, I wouldn't say that he's a guy that has panned out to the extent of where we got him and what we need him to do for us. So is he got potential? Yeah, he's got potential, but that's a whole nother thing. I'll probably break down all the things that I feel like the Nuggets should do. Maybe I'll do that. And if there's any other teams that you guys would be interested in, we got a lot of Wolves fans here. So maybe we could do a Minnesota offseason outlook. We'll do a Denver Nuggets offseason outlook. Well, any other teams that you guys want to do, maybe I'll put together, maybe that's what we'll build out for some of these shows coming up. So you guys can have something to look for. And it also gives us some content we can put on YouTube that you guys can go revisit and check out as we get further into the off season. We also have NFL that's going to be starting up very, very soon. That's going to be, 103 days. Not that I'm counting. How many days until football? Oh, 99 days. 99 days until NFL is back. Wow, we are in double digits, guys. Double digits. It's coming. And this has been feels like a long off season, but you know what? Can't wait for it. Can't wait. All right, guys. Let's see what we got here. I was gonna do. Let's see, real quick. There was something I was gonna bring up as well. But I might save that for next time. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Twitter world that's all interesting and crazy and wild. We saw, I don't know if you guys saw, Stephon Diggs on his yacht this past week. That was interesting. Stephon Diggs. Man, we're going to have a whole Twitter feed show and just talk about the crazy shit going on in the world of sports off the court, because there's some wild things happening. But we could say that for another show. There's always a lot of shows coming up. I think what we're going to do is also do a throwback this Sunday. So what I want you guys to do is, if you guys are interested in certain games in the off season, of any sport, I want you to go to our Discord and throw in your thoughts on what you want to see, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever it is. And we'll do some throwback content. We'll watch some old games, retro games, and we'll have some fun with that. But you know what? I think this might be a short stream tonight, guys. Unless you guys have anything you guys want to talk about, we might keep it pretty simple tonight. The only other thing that are happening around the sports world, I believe you got NHL happening tonight. Let me go ahead. Let's get out of here. Let's go here. Let's see what's going on in the NHL game. Let's see what's happening. Because I think that there was a Florida-Carolina game that was happening, but yet, nope. That is over as well. Florida Panthers end up winning and taking the East. The Carolina Hurricanes finally get off. What's crazy is the Carolina Hurricanes lost 15 straight Eastern Conference games. Don't know how you do that. Carolina, to Wags, your point, 2-0 lead over Florida after one period of play. And then Florida explodes in the second with 3-0 second frame and close it out 2-1 in the third to win 5-3. Florida Panthers are on to the Stanley Cup final, and they will be who's on the other side? What's happening with the other side? Let's see. Edmonton leaves 3. So I mean, we're on pace for Oilers Panthers. Can you imagine the wild how wild it'll be? You have I mean, it's already we already know who's going to win, right? We know who's going to win. It's not a surprise. You have a Canadian team and you have a team on the beach, a hockey team from the beach. Who do you think is going to win? It's obvious. It's obvious. It's the Florida Panthers. I mean, it's the Florida Panthers. One state produces champions. One country doesn't. That's kind of how it goes. Right? If you're in Florida, you're going to win a cup. That's just the way it is. If only we knew, years ago that in order to win a Stanley Cup, you had to be on the beach, right? Florida and the Oilers are going to go at it. And, everyone will be behind the Edmonton Oilers. It makes me feel so sick that the Avs couldn't quite get there, man. Feels so sick that they choked away that series against Dallas early on, because I really do think they had a really good chance to go all the way. We have to root for Canada? You don't have to do anything. I mean, I would say Canada hasn't had a great track record. Canada hasn't had a great track record in winning Stanley Cups, right? It's been a while. What is it? Has it been 22 years? Last time Canada won a Stanley Cup. 1993. The Montreal Canadiens defeated the LA Kings. 1993. You would think to yourself, man, you would think Canadian teams would win all the time. Yeah, Patrick Waugh, right? Patrick Waugh. Gosh, man, Patrick Waugh was so great. I saw this thing today. It was like, who wore number 33 the best? Who was the best player to wear number 33? And obviously, Patrick Waugh was the first one that came to mind because, he played for us here in Colorado and he won championships, Stanley Cups. So it was great. But, I mean, you have Kareem. You had Larry Bird. I mean, there's some big names that wore number 33. But, I mean, yeah, the first two that came to mind were Larry Bird and Patrick Waugh. If you're going sports, like picking I love me some Larry Bird. And Larry Bird was a legend. But, I mean, I love Patrick Waugh too. So, yeah. I mean, can the Edmonton Oilers finally do something that hasn't been done since 1993? I don't know. Stanley Cup. Real quick, I'm going to the list. I mean, a Florida team has won 3 of the last 5, right? 3 of the last 5. Yeah, Tampa Bay win back-to-back. in 2019, 2020, 2020, 21. And then you had Florida win last year. In the middle of that, you had the Avs and then Golden Knights. So, but that doesn't change the fact that when the Avs won and the Knights won, Tampa and Florida were in the Stanley Cup. So you had Tampa Bay or Florida represented in each of the last 5 Stanley Cups. If you're a Florida team, that's it. You've been represented in the Stanley Cup. Wild. Black market. Well, that stunk. Yeah. we kind of I would say we watched it. We didn't. I turned on the stream to go live with you guys, and I saw the score. I purposefully didn't look at the score. And I pulled it up, and I saw how bad it was, and I was just like, yeah, well, no point in watching this thing. No point. So, yeah. I've cheered for the Wolves long enough to be happy about this year and last year. Well, now I will say, the Wolves, you're learning. That's the one thing that you're doing is you're learning what it's like to lose. And a young guy like Ant, just wait. I mean, he's young, right? Ant is young. He's going to be there. He's going to be one of the best players in the league. Typically, the best players in the league don't get to their, catch their stride in the NBA finals until they're in their, 27, 28. I mean, Shea is what? Shea's 27, isn't he? How old is Shea? And he's 26. 26. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's young for a guy that's going to be going to his first NBA finals. Do you think Luka's going to actually going to train seriously this offseason? I've already seen pictures of Luka looking slim. I've seen pictures of Luka working hard to stay he looks like he lost 50 pounds. Luka looks great right now. I mean, if Luka can maintain that, I think the Lakers just have a big problem in general of just aging superstar and LeBron, and then a bunch of role players that kind of fit together, but still don't have that ceiling. Inconsistent. Luka could get him though. I mean, I think that they're not. I think Luka's looking. He's looking a lot better than he did this past season. Dallas traded him because he couldn't get into shape, and all of a sudden he looks the best he's ever looked as a Laker in the offseason. And it's only been a couple months, and he's lost 50 pounds. SGA and Luka are both about 3 years older than Ant. Yeah, Ant's young, man. Ant is he? I think he's 23. Anthony Edwards. Yeah, he's 23. I mean, Anthony Edwards, if they put the right pieces around him, should be going to the NBA Finals 3 or 4 years down the line, from consistently. If he develops and they put the team around him and they build around him good enough, that's when superstars, that's when the elite, top of the top 5 players, I mean, all the best players in the NBA who have won championships, it's all happened age 26 through 29. It doesn't happen. You don't see young guys winning titles. The last young guy to win a title on his own and be the guy to take them to the title, I think was Kobe. Luka Doncic looked like a Teletubby. I'll show you. Hold on, real quick. I'll bring him up. Here, look at this. I mean, Luka. I mean, look at him. This is like 3 days ago. These pictures were taken. Looking skinny. Looking good. I would say that's progress. If you're the Lakers, I would say that's your nightmare. If you're the Dallas Mavericks, you're like, man, this is all it took. This is all it took for him to just get traded, and he actually takes care of himself. You say it's not his twin, Luka Doncic? It might be. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's his twin. Maybe a long lost dude that like looks like him and acts like him, looks like a duck, smells like a duck, acts like a duck, talks like a duck. It's a pigeon. Yeah, it feels like the matter of time, which is amazing. It feels like a matter of time. Amazing from what the Wolves used to be. The problem, guys, is the Western Conference is crazy. The Western Conference is loaded. And, like, I don't care. OKC is going to have even a tough time next year. The Western Conference is absolutely stacked. The Eastern Conference might as well be a minor league team. Just a feeder team. Because even the best teams in the Eastern Conference, if you think about it, you know Oklahoma City is going to be back next year. That's one. You know Minnesota's going to have a decent team. Denver's going to be in the mix. They're going to make... I mean, they have Jokic and their whole core coming back, generally. Maybe Michael Porter has something to say about that if he gets traded. But Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and Denver. That's just the Northwest Division. That's just the Northwest Division. And those are probably top 5 teams in the West. Well, I know OKC will be. Minnesota and Denver will be top 5 teams in the West. Then you go to the Pacific Division, right? Then you have the Pacific. And you take a look at what they have. Pacific Division. The LA teams will probably be in the mix, right? LA teams are always in the mix. Golden State, they might bounce back as well. Golden State was a play-in team. Like they were a play-in team. And not to mention, you go to the Southwest Division. Oh, and I didn't mention Phoenix and Sacramento. Phoenix and Sacramento, Phoenix is dysfunctional, and they're gonna just that team's gonna be just ripped apart. And Sacramento is always kind of sneaky, but like they have some things. They have some dysfunction too. Then you go out to the Southwest Division in the West. Dallas is going to be good. They got the number 1 pick, and they got AD, and they got Kyrie. Kyrie's coming off the injury, but, you know, they're still good. Houston Rockets, a young team that's coming up and coming. They're good. They're well coached. They're going to be better. You have the Memphis Grizzlies, who I don't ever believe in, but they always tend to be in the mix. And then you have San Antonio. San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama and a team that just has all the assets and all the young players and all the young talent. Like, are there only, if you're looking across the landscape, the Pelicans are a bad team, the Jazz, and the Blazers. Everyone else, you can argue, has a chance to at least get in the play-in. and compete. Then you look at the Eastern Conference. Boston, you're missing your best player for a whole season. It seems like it's going to be an off year for them, and they're in salary cap hell in the second apron. They need to figure that out. They're in a world of hurt, and they need to make changes. Boston falls down. The Knicks, they'll probably be doing the same thing they did this year. Philadelphia, they can't get Joel Embiid healthy. You have the Cleveland Cavaliers might take a step forward, but they were disappointment this year. I think Detroit and Indiana are going to be a top teams. Milwaukee might trade Giannis. Orlando, if they get some shooters, they'll be competitive, but they can't figure out a way to get shooters on that roster. And Atlanta chokes every year. There's nothing to get excited about the East, whereas the West is just insane. Do you think Chris Paul is a possible target for the Mavs? I've heard that, people have linked him to the Mavs. I mean, I think to have his expertise in Dallas would be nice, especially given, Kyrie working his way back from his injury, right? The problem I have with Chris Paul is, regardless of which team he goes to, there's mileage on those legs. I mean, he's got a lot of mileage on those legs that he never is healthy going into a playoff. He just, you ask a lot of him because he wants the ball and he wants to play. He wants all the minutes. But when it comes time for playoffs to roll around, it's a 50-50 if he's even in a spot where he's healthy to play. So he'll get you some regular season wins. I don't know if you can rely on him, but maybe that's all you need to carry over that time with Kyrie being, missing some time potentially. If an expansion happens with Seattle and Vegas, then Wolves should get moved east. For now, they're the odd ones out. Yeah, I'd be curious. I think there might be a couple things, realignment, but it's so crazy CP3 played 82 this year. Yeah, he played a lot. I really, really want Giannis to stay out east. I think he will. There's only a couple teams, realistically, outside of making a massive splash, that can realistically, go out and do some, make some moves. Coincidentally, there's a few teams that have been out there. I think one of the more interesting teams that I wouldn't get excited about, but like the Brooklyn Nets have popped up as a rumored team. They're obviously in a decent sized market. Brooklyn, he has a lot of businesses out there. He spends a lot of time on the East Coast in New York. I could see Brooklyn making a run at Giannis, but I could also say, there's teams that just want to shake things up. Giannis, if he's in a Bucks uniform, I think it's a 50-50 shot if he's in a Bucks uniform next year. I don't see him hanging around too much. He's already tried to say and drop little hints that he's in the last 2 or 3 off seasons that he wants out. So Brooklyn could be an interesting team to keep an eye on for Giannis, but I don't know if he comes out west. That would be wild. That would be just don't even play the Eastern Conference. Don't even play the games, because whoever's winning the NBA titles coming out of the West. That's it. So, kind of crazy. All right. Well, considering it's kind of a light night tonight from the sports world, we're kind of wrapped up on the NBA. We kind of wrapped up on the NHL. We could probably might call it an early night. No stream tomorrow. We'll be off tomorrow. But we'll be back Sunday, and we'll be doing some probably a throwback, maybe a throwback. Dr. J, Ben Simmons to the Nuggets. Ben Simmons to Cancun and just retire. Just retire, dude. Get out of here. We don't need you in the NBA. It's the opposite of what Colin Cowherd said. Hey, LeBron, relax. You can take it easy now because we got Ben Simmons. And I'm telling Ben Simmons, relax. Go to Cancun. We don't need you. We got real NBA talent on these rosters. We know who the real MVP of the show showing up for work. Hey, see, that's what I'm talking about, Captain Urban. That's what I'm. Hey, my man. Love it. Appreciate that. You know what? Like, it's easy for me to come out here and be like, oh yeah, co-host and mods don't show up. It's fine. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging tonight. I didn't want to leave you hanging. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to watch some of this game. I wanted to talk a little NBA, little NHL, and hang out with you guys and spend a little bit of a Wednesday evening chatting it up with you guys. So glad I was able to do that. And we'll do some more coming up this Sunday. So make sure you stay tuned this Sunday. We'll be back live around 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And we'll be back here. We could probably talk and preview because tomorrow is tomorrow the next game for the Pacers and Knicks. Let's see. Yeah, Thursday, tomorrow. So we could have our finals all set by the end of tomorrow night. So Sunday we'll probably do a really big preview of what our picks are for the NBA Finals, who's got the edge, who's going to win. I mean, obviously OKC is going to be the heavy favorite, but I do think Indiana Pacers can hang a little bit with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that could be a 6-game series. My early thoughts are OKC in 6. I think the Pacers steal a couple games, but that's about it. Eastern Conference Finals and Finals predictions. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm picking the Pacers to come out of the East. It would be insane for let's just say the Knicks do come out of the East. The amount of energy spent to get out of that series, they're going to be beat up. They're going to be battered. They're going to be exhausted. Going up against a team that's been sitting there waiting, hanging out, watching tape, seeing what they're doing. Like, the Knicks making it to the NBA Finals would probably make for... I would take OKC in 4. It would be a clean sweep. It wouldn't even be close. So let's not do that. Let's not have a... I mean, I know everyone wants the big market to be coming out of the East, the New York Knicks. Nah, it's not going to... There's no chance. There's no chance. It ain't the Knicks. No. The amount of sheer energy it would take to get out of that series just to be swept by OKC, who's well rested and waiting. It'll be a ratings banana of okay. Oh my gosh, STG. No one's gonna care unless you're in Indiana or OKC. Maybe you have a little bit of Seattle fan, rooting for the OKC Thunder. Maybe those kind of hybrid fans that followed and stayed true to OKC after the Seattle Sonics left. Maybe you have a little bit of Washington influence, little Seattle influence there. But that makes sense. And that SGG, I was just about to ask you this. The Seattle fan in me hates OKC with every fiber of my... See, that's what I appreciate. I appreciate that hatred. I want you to use that as we all collectively root for the Indiana Pacers to win the NBA Finals. We want that. We need that. use that hatred, turn it into something we can use, STG. So do you think that's a consensus across like the Seattle fan base, or do you think that there's what percentage would you say? Would you say most fan base of Seattle is rooting against OKC? 90% are against them. That would not support them. That's fascinating. And I guess I don't have enough. Yeah, I do remember it was brutal. I'm glad you guys. So yeah, unless you're in Oklahoma City or unless you're in Indiana, no, this is going to be the lowest watched. I mean, OKC kind of has something with the MVP, but the MVP plays a shit brand of basketball that gets rewarded by referees. So is he good? Yes. Is he good at manipulating, getting calls? Yes. But is it fun to watch? No. And I think it'll be on full display, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to watch. This might be the lowest rated NBA Finals that we've ever seen in recent memory, at least. Last time a hatred came out bad was OKC versus Miami. The only reason I cheer for OKC makes the Wolves loss sting less. Otherwise, Pacers have been super fun teams. Pacers are a fun team, man. By the way, I said, it's hard rooting. It's weird not rooting for Chet. Hey, I got a Gonzaga guy on the other side with Ryan Nembhard. So I'll take Nembhard to win a title before Chet, his teammate. I'll take that all day. Starbucks guy was the clown who sold the team in the first place to Clay Bennett. Then Clay Bennett just took the team to OKC after Howard Starbucks guy attempted to cancel the sale. He's a bum. He's a bum. I'm sorry, SGG. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I'm sorry Seattle fan had to deal with that. OKC has a cohesive team, is pretty good basketball. SGA isn't fun to watch. I mean, OKC, they are everywhere. They play a crazy brand of defense that flows into their offense, and it's just, they're scrappy. They find ways to win these games, and you're just like, man. Do I like what I'm watching? Do I appreciate what I'm watching? My heart tells me I don't want OKC's time to be now. We're going to see plenty of OKC. I don't want it to be this quick. They're too young. And here we are. Look, just Indiana Pacers. Let's go. Let's go. I just hate how successful OKC is every year with Sam Presti always loading up. We talked about it earlier, SGG. It was all set up from that Paul George trade. 7 first-round picks, Danilo Gallinari, and the MVP of the 2024-25 season. I mean, that's a lot of ammunition. Turned into Chet. Turned into Jay Williams. Turned into... I mean, they built their team. Chet, my boy, I know. But I don't want my boy to win this early. As much as I love him, I don't want him to win this early. I'll defend that trade as not bad for LA at the time. I mean, that trade was crazy what they gave up for one player. It was crazy. And it's worse in retrospect, but it was crazy. 7 first-round picks and swaps and everything else. Crazy. 2 players. And Paul George hasn't taken a team that he's been on to anything. Not the Clippers. Not the Sixers. People ask, oh, would you want him in Denver? No. I don't want him anywhere near my team. There's just certain players, man. They just it's crazy. Along with that other bum, Joel Embiid. I don't. I'm going to hold my thoughts on Joel Embiid. I'll save that for another day. Because I'm starting to get to a point with Joel Embiid that, like, I don't know if it's worth having him on your roster. As talented as he can be, I don't know if it's worth having him on your roster. Here's the thing. Honestly, if the Sixers were somehow to luck upon... What are the Sixers drafting right now? Where's their NBA draft? Sixers pick third. I could argue that if the Sixers were to luck upon the first round of the first overall pick and Dallas weren't getting it and Philadelphia got it, I could argue trading Joel Embiid this within the next year, and just building around a fresh core of Tyrese Maxey, Cooper Flagg, and some of the other young guys they have there. Like that, you could make that argument that you just need to get out from underneath. You don't want Joel Embiid just toxifying a young first round pick or a first overall pick. I mean, now they got the third pick, so it's like, all right, you still have a little bit of something there, but like, talks a lot for not doing much results based on what you've done for me lately, and he's never gotten past the second round. He's never made it to an Eastern Conference Finals. The Sixers are in such a terrible spot. Look at their payroll of Embiid and PG-13, both locked in. It's bad. Guys like Luka Garza is going to save the T-Wolves. They can still come back. Well, Special Joey, I think I was telling this to a couple other folks in the chat that Minnesota's going to be... They're not going to be able to bring back everybody next year. They're not going to be able to bring back everybody next year. You're losing some guys. You're losing Nas, probably. And you're losing Alexander Walker. Probably. You're probably losing both those guys. And then you're building around some of the younger guys and then trying to figure it out. Because Rudy's got a lot of money coming. Obviously, Anthony Edwards is making his money. Mike Conley, old man Mike Conley, he's a man. He's 40, right?
I'm a man. I'm 40.
So they're just in a bad spot, paying a lot of guys. So it's going to be tough. That's good because they have Luka Garza. If you think Luka's the answer, Joey, then hey. Let's see what he can turn into. They're not seeing a lot of depth issues and no idea if Randall will opt in or out or opt in or not. He had some weird games this series where he just didn't show up. It's almost like he gave up in a couple of these games. Best Luka in the league. I don't know if I would go that far.
Daddy, chill.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go that far, but I like where you're going with it. I like your optimism there. Randall going to give up $30 million to opt out. I don't know. Again, I think that's going to be. It's going to be interesting. Well, you know what? I'll do it. We'll do some off-season outlooks. We'll do, since we have so many Minnesota fans in our chat. We'll do a Minnesota outlook on the season, on the off season. We'll see what they could realistically do to bring back who they want to bring back and who they're going to lose. And we'll do the same thing for the Denver Nuggets, and we'll see where they're at because, you know, with some of these teams that have been paying high tax dollars to, you know, being in the first, second apron, Celtics are in an Celtics might be one of the worst situations in all of NBA basketball. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that could happen with these aprons. Have really changed how teams navigate roster building and construction and smart ways to make all of the numbers work to where you have flexibility, to where you can have consistency and growth. I mean, Dr. J, the Celtics are so far in the second apron, it's not even funny. You almost, like, it is almost a death sentence to go into the second apron. And you might as well treat that as a hard cap that you do not want to go over. Like, you do not. Yeah, you're right. Wags. 190 million tied up on 4 players. They're basically in the aprons, basically on those 4 dudes. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I think Drew Holiday is gone. I think Porzingis is gone. I think they're gonna probably lose Hauser. Hauser, he's making like 20 million or 30 million, somewhere in that. I think he's making 20 million. I mean, they're gonna have to look at a lot of dudes on that roster, and yeah, no, Kristaps Porzingis probably won't. I mean, then you have to let old man Al Horford walk. He's old, but he's been giving you some good stuff in his twilight of his career. What's up, Piglet? How we doing? Yeah, we're gonna probably wrap things up here soon. I actually said I'd wrap things up like 20 minutes ago, but we're still here talking hoops. So we could keep. I might hang out for another couple minutes here as you guys are still hanging out with me. 198 million in the top 5. Yeah, crazy. Wizards are even going to have cap problems, and they stink. Yeah, it's. I mean, hold on one sec. NBA. Yeah. Yeah, so here we are. Yeah, cap space for some of these teams. Hold on. I want to say. Yeah, Minnesota, Boston. Denver is only in a first apron team, which is nice. I say nice, but it's still very limiting in how they go about navigating getting players. But like, yeah, some of these teams are just in such a bad position. Yeah, the top 5 guys for Boston. You said we're 195 million. That's the first apron. Their first 5 guys are in the first apron automatically, and that's only their starting 5. Only the starting 5. The rest. I mean, 207 million is the second apron. It's a crazy landscape. Crazy. And I just don't know. Even with, there was a 10% cap increase for the 25-26 season. Teams are still in bad shape. But anyways, Celtics payroll is expected to be around $227.8 million next year. And that number does not include Al Horford, Luke Cornett, Torrey Craig, who are free agents. That doesn't include those guys. Sorry, Boston. Hornets are another sad team. Yeah, Hornets, not great. The Hornets, they just need some direction. That's all. They need some direction. They need to build out. They need to build out that roster, and they're not doing a very good job. The Bulls are another one. You're right, Joey. Wolves already traded Cat to get ahead of this, and we'll need to keep cutting this year. That's true. Yeah. Maybe we'll have a... Yeah, well, let's have an NBA offseason workshop, and we'll just break down every team. Make a note of this. NBA workshop. Offseason. Maybe we'll do like a team by team. You guys let me know which teams you want. Obviously, Minnesota, Denver. We'll talk about any teams you guys want, and we'll do a full breakdown of their offseason. What they could realistically do, some realistic trades they can make, some realistic ways they can cut some salaries and get better. Who I would like to see on some of these rosters, who I would not like to see on some of these rosters. Let's do that. We'll do that. We'll do a series leading into the NBA, the NFL. We'll make a whole thing. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. We're going to get out of here, or I'm going to get out of here because I'm solo tonight. So let me go ahead and let's get you guys out of here and enjoying the rest of your week. And we'll get you off to bigger and better things. I'm going to actually send you off to I'm going to we haven't sent you to P-Leaf recently. We're going to send you to P-Leaf. Sorry, I'll give you 1 second. Actually, no. No, here's what I'm going to do. Rude, they left you all alone, unsupervised. You know, and I don't really need supervision, but hey, here we are, you know? Just, I have you guys to keep me company, so it's all good. You know what? We're going to send you over to NBA postgame. We never really send you over to anything like this. We're going to send you over to the postgame because they have some interviews and things going on. Anthony Edwards is up on the podium, and they're, you know, continue the NBA chatter. There's a lot of people chilling in that chat as well. So we're going to send you over to the NBA. But hopefully you have a great rest of your night. We'll see you back here Sunday night. Sunday night, we'll be back. We'll do maybe a throwback. We'll do... Scotty won't be here, but I will. We'll do either a throwback or we'll start our session of NBA offseason stuff that we just talked about. Maybe we do both. Who knows? So enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. Between now and Sunday, be a good person. Go live in the moment. We don't do that enough. Put the phones down. Enjoy the people and things around you. And also be a good person to other people. It's free. And, you know, why not? You know? So we will see you guys this coming Sunday. Can't wait to see you all back here in the lab. And, yeah, enjoy the rest of the week. Drink water. That too. Love you guys. See you next time.